I think one thing that Derek touched on, which was key, and I see just because you're friends with someone doesn't mean you're going to be a good partner with each other in business. Business brings out a whole nother layer of the relationship and stressors that come from it. One thing that Derek and I share, and yes, we've been friends forever, but we also shared a common goal and mission long term. So it wasn't about making a quick buck. It wasn't, I need to cash out. We were very aligned in what we were trying to build and have been in lockstep pretty much this whole time. And when we're not, we get together and we talk about it.
Welcome to Unfiltered, the official podcast of propertymanagement.com. I'm your host, Dylan Scroggins, joined by the founder of propertymanagement.com, Mr. Matt Speer. We have two special guests today from the West Coast out of Seattle, Washington, and SJA Property Management, Mr. Devin Easterlin, co-founder, and also Mr. Derek Bunyard, also co-founder. We appreciate you guys being here. Thanks so much for taking some time on your Friday, and welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having us. Excited to be here.
Nice to be there.
Awesome. Well, it's going to be a good time. I know I've spoke highly of you to Matt, and Matt was like, yes, we have got to get the SJA guys on there. So we originally met at NARPM conference about a year ago, and man, time has flown. We talked about it before we hit record, but we'd love to hear your founder story. I think we have a lot of folks who are anywhere from 200 to 2,000 doors. Some are solo owners, some are working with their spouse, but some are joined with their friends. So I'd love, Devin, I'll pick on you first. Share with us a little bit about how SJA got started, but go back as far as you can, because I want to hear that original story from the middle school days.
Yeah, well, I think part of it's a cautionary tale, but it started way back. Derek and I have been very good friends since around 7th grade. So went through all of junior high, high school. We also went to the same college with a bunch of our friends from school. And then after that, we all moved down to San Diego for a while, a big group of friends, Derek and I included. So we've known each other for a very long time. I was actually going to school down there, and Derek was working for an accounting firm. And then we made our way back up to Seattle at different times, but then reconnected once we got back up here. And Derek was working for Deloitte. I was working as an attorney, and we both just weren't extremely happy with our career choices and what that offered for us. So we always wanted to be entrepreneurial. We talked about it since we were really young. And so we were like, hey, let's stop doing what we're doing right now. Let's get into real estate investing. And the way that we thought we could do that was get our broker's licenses. And we had all of these friends that were freshly out of college. They were getting married. They were buying houses. This was about 2006 there, that time, 2007. And the market was still really good. And so we started working as real estate brokers. We formed our own company. And back then it was called Blue Horizon Realty Group. And that was phase one of our entrepreneurial career. And we hung that under a RE/MAX. And so we started doing real estate transactions and then buying real estate for ourselves. Quickly, we realized that you need money to buy real estate. And that was, wasn't part of the pro forma. So we stopped and we started doing more real estate transactions, all the while managing the small portfolio of real estate that we had. And then we just started we were really working on buying and trying to buy investments, helping people. And then the Great Recession hit, and the RE/MAX that we worked for went out of business. They closed, that franchise closed, just wasn't making, no one was doing real estate. Derek and I were sitting in the office, like just looking at the phone, and nothing was happening. And so we decided that we had to get our designated broker's license, which Derek did. And we started Sterling Johnston Real Estate from that moment. We brought over the properties that we currently owned and a few others from friends and family that they wanted managed. And we started building two companies. And this is where the cautionary tale comes in. We started building the real estate brokerage and the property management company at the same time. So for many years, Sterling Johnston and Associates was our lead area of focus. And that was a real estate brokerage serving the Puget Sound area. We built that for about 10, 13 years. And we got that up to about 110, 115 brokers. And that was our main focus. And all the while, we were also building the real estate property management company, but not putting as much focus on that. So that's kind of the basics. And then we decided a few years ago that, we really wanted to get out of the brokerage business and that those brokers could be better served with someone that had a long-term vision for that side of the business. So we sold that side and really doubled down on property management side. And as soon as we did that, our growth just really started to take off. And we went from 700, 800, now up to about 1,100 units with about 850 owners.
And when did that transition start to really doubling down on property management again?
It's about, 3 years ago, Derek?
January 2023, we made that decision.
I'm curious what drove the the pivot there to really double down on the property management side.
I think, for me, and Derek would probably agree with this, our passion wasn't in being a brokerage. And I talked to a lot of my peers and people in the property management community that come and talk to me, hey, I want to start a brokerage. Hey, I want an in-house team. I want to start recruiting brokers. And my answer is, that's great, but that's a totally different business. You've got to like that. And when you're working with real estate brokers, you're essentially at, their beck and call. They need things. They have timelines, as Derek knows. He was over on the real estate side. I stayed more on the PM side, kept my head down. But they have a lot of wants and needs and timelines that you need to meet. And so you're really working to support their business. Whereas in the property management space, you're working to support your own business and you have employees. Often we switched to having all employees in our property management business instead of independent contractors. And so we could control the outcome. We could control the outcome for our owners, for our residents, all the stakeholders. It felt a lot more rewarding to do that after a while. And we've done, brokerage for about a decade. So we run its course there and we felt, those brokers deserve they went with a bigger shop and it was a good transition and we could focus on where our passion was. And so to answer your question, that's just more of, are we passionate about this? And the answer was, not really, not as much as we used to be. And we feel like actually there's a bigger upside with building the property management because all the while that we were building the brokerage, property management just growing and growing and growing. Pretty soon, we got to a point where we didn't need the brokerage to support the business. And so now we had optionality. And so we could say, hey, this can cover the staff. This can cover all of our overhead. We can just start to take some market share in this area.
Yeah, when I was running my, we had brokerage arm and then we had property management and I was doing my own real estate investing. I would put it a little bit more bluntly. I felt like the brokerage side for me was like a daycare. I was like, man, I thought we were just going to be slinging real estate and making things happen for our investors. And it ended up being, hey, can you get a coffee? I need to talk about this deal, which is good. And then it's like, you get 10 agents doing that. It's like, all you're doing is talking about their deals. And then if they're successful, it's like, I want more comp. What's my split? And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, I'm not even really doing real estate at all anymore. I'm just like a manager. So yeah, that's a cool perspective. And obviously we're pretty biased towards the property management side here, but we can dig in more there.
So Matt, I'm actually putting you on the spot. Did you start Live Indy solo or did you have a partner day one too?
So I had a partner day one. I would go to this coffee shop and work. It's like a little small coffee shop. And this guy, Jeff Cohen, he was sort of this known like real estate developer. He had a brokerage. He's just like in our neighborhood, just like a known real estate guy. And he'd overheard me talking on the phone a few times in the coffee shop. And then he just walked up to my table and was like, hey, we should talk. I've heard you're doing some cool deals just because I could hear you on the phone and I've seen you a few times. And so I partnered up with him like an 80-20 split. And he was sort of like mentor, but also he had the brokerage already set up. So I could immediately go right into, all right, we're doing this very officially. He's got the brokerage set up. And that's really how I got into it.
I would have loved to hear you explaining that to Kendall of, some guy just walked up to me in a coffee shop and now we're business partners. That's a very dudes being dudes type story.
That is really funny. I mean, two things here. One, our first business was formed at where all good businesses are formed in a bar. Derek and I were like, hey, you know what? These corporate jobs that we have, they're not worth it. Let's do it, man. Let's do it right here. It was a clink of glasses. And like the next week we had the LLC paperwork in. So that's where it started. That was the nexus. And one thing I will say, it's with part of the story that I hadn't talked about yet is when the recession happened and that that Remax franchise closed, that owner we took on as a third partner, and he had all the connections with some of the brokers. And so we're like, well, this is an opportunity for us. And so for a lot of time, he was spending a lot of his time being that designated broker. We bought him out. And once that happened, we're like, whoa, this isn't our passion. And now all of that weight of those broker questions and I need it now and the power dynamic, like we didn't really sign up for this. This is not the entrepreneurial path that we were looking for. So that, was one of those, we have this opportunity, let's take it. And we probably could have pivoted earlier. Looking back, it's all right. You always look back, hindsight's 2020, but pivoting earlier would have been a lot, different spot with our business now.
Yeah, I was doing the brokerage pieces like to serve to make active cash so I could buy more investments. And it wasn't a focus. I didn't like it. But I had this mentor that like, he was super experienced. And so we were doing it in a pretty sophisticated way. But yeah, Dylan, your point, like with my wife, I still remember this because I was working my tech sales job on the side. So imagine me going to my wife saying, hey, so I know, I met this guy at my coffee shop and I think I want to quit my job and just go full time into it. We're just going to start this brokerage. She's like, you did what? Oh yeah. And we're going to have dinner at his house tomorrow. I think we're just going to go ahead and kick this thing off. Yeah. She thought it was crazy, but luckily it worked out.
Well, good news. She still thinks you're crazy and she just needs to get used to it.
Well, I am sitting in a van in our driveway right now as she's inside with our 2 kiddos. So yeah, I guess she probably still does think I'm a little crazy.
Yeah. Shout out, Kendall. We love you. And Derek, going back on the partnership, I heard an interesting quote recently, different podcast, different industry, about the ships that sink are partnerships. So I think it's a testament to you two that one, you're still friends and you're in business together. So walk us through, especially for listeners who maybe don't have a partner or maybe not getting along with their partner or maybe looking for a business partner. Walk us through some of the challenges and also benefits of doing it side by side and not doing it solo.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you bringing that up. That's something I try to remind myself of each and every day, just how lucky and grateful I am to have Devin as a business partner and a friend. I've learned we've been through thick and thin since we were kids, growing up and growing and maturing as business owners. It's been a heck of a journey. And what I like to reflect on is just how we're growing together. And we're building something fun that we're passionate about, that we get to, have our families be a part of, and we're helping the community that we serve. But I could pinch myself. I'm extremely lucky to have Devin as a partner. And I will say that it is a challenge to have a partnership, right? You got to make sure that you're vetting out those that you may be considering. Bold move, Matt had to find someone at a coffee shop, but when you feel that connection, to explore. And Devin and I have had other partnerships with others where we've worked with good friends and, just didn't have the same goals in mind, didn't have the same vision or the risk tolerance. There's things that you have to take into consideration when you are considering coming together with a business type marriage and saying, hey, let's do this together. Or maybe there's multiple people and just working through what that means for you. So lucky for us, we've had the same goals in mind. And as we have grown as individuals and professionally, we've been able to grow together and keep staying the same stride there. So it's been great.
Yeah, I think one thing that Derek touched on, which was key, and I see just because you're friends with someone doesn't mean you're going to be a good partner with each other in business. Business brings out a whole nother layer of the relationship and stressors that come from it. One thing that Derek and I share, and yes, we've been friends forever, but we also shared a common goal and mission long-term. So it wasn't about making a quick buck. It wasn't, I need to cash out. We were very aligned in what we were trying to build and have been in lockstep pretty much this whole time. And when we're not, we get together and we talk about it. What's the future of the company? What do you see? What makes sense for you? What makes sense for me? Really having that open dialogue is key. Don't let things go unsaid. If you're feeling something, get together, talk it through. And because you are friends, normally you can work it out, right? You can get back to alignment. Our third partner, who is an amazing person, our old third partner, he was an amazing person, but we were on different trajectories. He wanted different things. He was a little bit older. And so we found a way to part as friends. We're still really good friends with him today. We kept talking, okay, or your goals are different than my goals. And so we find a way to exit in a really great way. A couple other little things that I think of is when you're working with someone, especially if they're a friend in a partnership, you try to not hold things too tightly, right? Try to not be so dogmatic in your views. You respect the person, and therefore, even if you disagree, I like to get curious as to why I'm disagreeing. And I want to just say, okay, I'm not going to come back in a really hard way. I may think this, but I'm going to explore what Derek is, what his points are. And I'm willing to let it go. It's all right. If we've discussed it and, maybe we didn't choose my path, I'm willing to let it go for the good of not only the friendship, but the partnership. And that's served us really well. And I think that's another really important one. Another one that really sticks out for me is I don't put money above the friendship. So yes, the company is bigger now. There's some net worth involved in all of this, but I never put it above the friendship. And that makes the thing a lot easier. And you gotta be willing to do that. And that's where if you have a longtime friend of 20 years, it's pretty easy to do that. But I just remind myself that money doesn't go above, the friendship. And that's helped us a lot too.
It's a lot easier with the money side when you're over, 1,100 doors too, because I'm sure that net worth's on the up and up, which is nice. But the one thing you guys mentioned.
For zero, and it was a 0. And so money was not an issue. We didn't have to worry about money. We didn't have any. Now, when I proposed to my wife, I had a 0 tax return. I made negative. You're the man for me. I was like, right.
Yeah. I think when I was in that coffee shop, I think I was negative still with my student debt. So definitely been there. So one thing that jumps out to me, so I see, Devin, in your background, you got who, not how, good to great. You got some cool books there. We always hear a lot of people talk about EOS, entrepreneurial operating system. Talk to me a bit about how you guys can, it's good to your friends and you're able to make decisions together and you guys clearly have thought through that dynamic, but sometimes there's going to be a stalemate. So is there like a visionary integrator? Like, what are the roles? How do you make decisions? Like, how do you decide on something where you guys disagree? Like, is someone else sort of the 51%, or like, how does that work?
Well, you brought up EOS, and that's something that we've been operating from for 6 or 7 years probably now. I'll just say, just going on a little tangent here, we self-implemented with EOS, and we've been learning and growing along the way by bringing in a leadership team to support and run the business. So while Devin and I have ultimately the final call when it comes to those decisions, we trust our team that we're putting in place to be able to be that supporting cast that can have agency over the key areas that they run and bring it to us when we need to be involved in the decision. So I'd say first and foremost, it's a matter of what the vision is and what we are clearly communicating to our team, and then how we're going to go about solving the problems. We generally land with solving them together as a leadership team.
Yeah, I would say, one thing that we've really focused on these last few years, EOS has helped us with this, but also the Patrick Lencioni, that idea that you need to have candor and disagreement among your leadership team. So that idea, we want to disagree, discuss, and commit. So if everyone feels as though they can share their opinion and they've been heard, reasonable people can commit to whatever decision was made. If they feel like they haven't been heard or their ideas have been pushed down, then they're never going to fully commit to the decision that you made. So ultimately, we're not looking for consensus because that's a watered down version of a good plan, right? Well, we'll do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And Tracy, you want this. And so we'll try to come up with something that meets everybody halfway. That's a poor decision. You're going to have to make a decision in a strong way, but you want everyone to be a part of vetting the best option. And ultimately, that's going to come down often, or one of us, Derek or I, depending on our roles, is going to have to make the call, and people are going to have to commit to the call that we make. And that's what they pay us for. That's what SJA pays us for, is to make that final call. And people understand that. They realize that we need a path forward. We've got to all commit to that path. How Derek and I operate typically, Derek's running he's the brains of the operation. So he's running the day-to-day business plan. If it has something to do with that, I feel strongly about it, I demur to that. If it has something to do with our ultimate goal and where we want to head, and we might be going up the ladder at a great pace, but it's on the wrong tree. I got to make sure that we're on where we said we wanted to go, and that business plan matches with that vision. And that's kind of how we've broken that down. But again, I don't hold things too tightly. Reasonable people, a fully vetted idea, you're going to get 2 ideas that are very similar. Each could work if you commit to it. It's when you do not commit that it's not going to work. But if we're like, yeah, they're so close, the one we commit to is the one that will give us the result.
On that note, Devin, can you share more about the vision of SJA the next 3 to 5 years? Can totally understand if you want to edit that response in case any competitors are listening, but I think a lot of people would be encouraged by not just what you're trying to do, but also why and how you're doing it. So would love to hear more about that vision you just mentioned.
Sure. And for a long time, we had a mission statement, we have core values, but they didn't really connect back to how it changes behavior in the exec team and the leaders and the rest of the team. And so about the past 4 or 5 years, we really made a commitment to making that vision and those core values dictate how we operate in the organization. And that's been a game changer for us. A couple things that we did, we put a BHAG out there to go to Jim Collins, a big, hairy, audacious goal that was completely out of the realm of something we thought we could do. And so that was 5,000 doors. We're going to get to 5,000 doors under management. And these are single family homes that would put us in the top 5% nationwide for, single family home managers. And so we threw that out there. We had a big party. We had everyone in the office and we said, hey, we're just going to put that out there. And then I went and did some speaking and various things. And I put that out there to the audience. There's no taking it back. We had committed, we were pot committed, as they say, to that. And that brought a lot of really good positive momentum. Just everyone's like, oh, okay. And so what that does is you have this BHAG, you put it out there, and then in your hiring process, which Dylan, of course, you've helped us with, you're looking for people that like that mission. They'd like to do something hard that other people can't do, because you need those type of people to fulfill it. So that's been a really nice change and one that's got us a lot of positive momentum. The other thing that we did is we talked about the why we're in business and the how behind that. So there's a lot of ways that one could say they're going to get to 5,000 units. You could be the lowest cost provider. You could have a high churn rate, but it doesn't matter because you're bringing them in at $99 a month. And we decided that's not what we were going to do. And this is where the team buy-in came in, is that we were going to get to 5,000 units. Our first milestone is 2,500 units by 2030. And we are going to do that through excellence. We're going to do that through being excellent in every phase of our business. And that's non-negotiable. I want to be able to bring my mom's property on and she can have an excellent experience. My friend's going to come on. He's like, yeah, Devin, you guys are really doing this well. We're not perfect, but that's what we're striving for, is we're going to do it through excellence rather than volume. And so the team can get behind that. I think, Derek, the other thing that really has made a shift for us is we created a purpose that transcends business. And we bring this up almost at every L10, definitely at every monthly all hands, is our purpose is to have a lasting positive impact on our team, our owners, and our community at large. And so we created some things to make it, as our business grows, we give back more to our community and to our team. So every year we're thinking about how can we increase the benefits. We have full benefits for our team, vision, we add 401k. We really focus on the team and putting them first, and they can see that through line. We make that through line really clear. And then also we give 5% of our profits to local community charities. So nonprofits, we have a foundation. We take just straight off the P&L, 5% goes into there. And then we draw that line for our team. These are the families that we've helped. This is what we're doing with your money. Look at our efforts are doing more than just providing housing and a safe place for our owners to get their property managed. We're also doing good for those less fortunate. And it's been awesome. Really changed the way I think about business, because now it's not all just dollars and cents, which after 15 years gets a little stale. You start hitting thresholds and you're like, oh, I'm going to feel really good when I get to this amount and this amount. And then you realize, well, not really. It's just the same thing, just running it back, And this part where Derek and I have committed to doing this for the organization has felt really good. It started to revitalize that passion. I think probably Derek, you'd agree with that.
Absolutely. And the two things you said there are really what the decision that we've been focusing on since we made this commitment to the BHAG is staying true to who we are, learning as we pivot away from the brokerage model to what we enjoy, what brings fulfillment to us. And that's making something that is something we want to put our names behind. And that's excellence. Starts with excellence. It's a purpose that we can get behind and align ourselves with team members who want to be a part of that. So that has been a shift too, to make sure that we're all rowing in the same direction. And then it's about identifying how we're going to go about this. So we set this BHAG a couple of years ago, and it was something that the team rallied behind, and we were excited for because we didn't have the answers. We're like, I don't know how we're going to make this happen. But as we've been on this journey, we've also been just challenging ourselves to say, well, who do we want to be in order to actually hit this stuff? Like, what do we have to change? And are we willing to make those changes? And sometimes we've had to pivot when we thought that we'd be on a certain path. So it's a fun process to learn and keep that growth mindset in place of like, you've got to challenge yourself as well as the team, but finding the right team members in terms of where we're going together and how we're making a difference as we're, again, we're pushing things into the community that we haven't been able to do to this point, and we hope to do really even bigger things as well. That's what's been really rewarding as we've been thinking about just where we're going and how we've been realigning what our efforts are and our focus.
Yeah, shifting the conversation and getting a little under the hood on that vision. Eric, I'd love to hear more. You don't have to list out your entire tech stack, but as we zoom the conversation out more to the industry at large, over the last 5 years, when you've really tripled down on the property management side, are you still using the same tech stack you used before your BHAG? Did you have to revamp a few things, specifically with internal operations? Obviously, EOS has been very consistent, but what are some of those tools that you've used to really help build the business and take it to the next level?
For us, I'd say we're probably a little more than average in terms of the tech that we've built into our tech stack. Just with the companies that we network with, we seem to be a little bit more reliant on heavily on the tech mainly because our operations are now mostly remote. So our team is using some of the core systems that most property management companies are tapping into. We use Appfolio, Lead Simple, a Property Meld. But beyond that, we have a number of applications that we're using on a day-to-day basis to help with our specialists and to help with our specific roles and how we're bringing this all together. So one challenge, as you guys are probably familiar with, is our industry is behind when it comes to tech and having the overall systems integration, just speak to one another. But we spend a little extra time and resources in making sure that our team is properly equipped with what they have in front of them, how they can do their jobs effectively, and how they can ultimately minimize the stress and the impact on their day to day. And while sometimes, it feels like there's a lot of work in front of us, I think we're making great progress. Overall, I think just high level, our tech stack is over 50 hours in terms of what we have throughout the organization. Part of my job, actually, one of our goals this year is to just consolidate. As tech has changed so much in the last 6, 12, 18 months, we have to stay on top of having the courage to make the changes, to bring those things in, to simplify and to get the most out of them. And that's, for me, that's a big part of what I love, what energizes me is those challenges of building and allowing the team to have the tools they need to do the job.
Yeah, and I think a lot of companies are going through that similar like consolidation around tech stack. So many things are changing. You've got more of a focus on AI agents. You don't want to over-index because then you can create confusion with your existing processes. Shameless plug, like we launched today the Vendor Performance Index, which is our way of sort of like the G2 of property management. We're rating the software vendors and service providers based on actual outcomes direct from the property manager's feedback. So hopefully we can help kind of make a dent into making that transition a bit easier for teams like yours, especially at your scale. But I'd like to dig in a little bit on growth because I was kind of doing the napkin math, and at 2,500 doors by 2030, is that right? So around 11, so that's about 1,400 doors in 46 months is a net 30 a month gain. So talk to me about how, that's a combination of, you got to have a lot of at bats and you've got to have excellence where you're minimizing churn. So let's get into that a bit. If you guys could talk through just the growth and marketing side of it.
Sure. I think it's growth and marketing at that type of scale. You've got to really make sure it's a high priority within the organization. And you've built out a full division that's completely dedicated. It's not something that's a necessary evil. It's what you do. And that's a pivot that we made years ago to doing that. So we've built out a sales and marketing division that we call our growth division, putting a lot of effort in there. The way that I've thought about growth is back to Bill Collins, that 25% year over year is what we're shooting for. So it's not because otherwise it can become a little intimidating. Oh, this year we've got to bring 440 doors in. That when you're not ready and it's not going to happen in the back of your mind, there's just not enough time, there's not enough resources and budget. And that's a deflating goal. So we're trying to do it 25%, 25 and staggered. And so that's what we did last year. We hit 24% growth. This year we're shooting for 25% growth. Let's see, to answer your question, how we're going about that.
Yeah. It's like everybody, sorry to cut you off. Everybody listening is like, okay, how? Like, is it realtor referrals because you have that brokerage experience? Is it just spending like crazy on Google ads? Like what's the, you don't have to give the secret sauce away, but just like generally it would be interesting.
And it's just funny. I just remember when I was first starting out, all I cared about was how, specifically tell me how you're doing, and then I realized it's not so much about the how, it's setting that vision, putting the right people in place and trying things till you get it right and really committing to getting it done. So for us, what works in our market may not work for others, but we have a whole marketing plan that we put together at the beginning of the year. And it's what you would expect. We start from how many leads are we going to need to generate through our marketing efforts to reach our goal, and we back through that. So we'll say we need this many leads. We're converting at this percentage. We have this much capacity in onboarding, this much capacity with our BDM. So we brought in a second BDM. And so we kind of back through it, and then we look at the various marketing channels that have worked for us in the past and that we want to double down on, and we cut the ones that aren't working and we allocate the budget accordingly. I would say for people that are newer to that, I mean, that's a mouthful and that sounds, like a lot, but you just start with a few channels and you see how well they operate. You can start with pay-per-click. Pay-per-click in our area doesn't work very well. I know some of our competitors use it. I don't get a good return on investment, so I don't put a lot of money in that. But we always are putting money in our SEO. We're putting money in our social media and YouTube and creating quality content. And so that was something that's been a bit of a game changer for us, is we committed a couple of years ago to putting out quality content every week. And so every week we're putting out multiple videos. We're putting out really good blogs that teach you something. I always say to our team, there's got to be a nugget in this, a gold nugget that when someone listens to this, they're like, oh, I learned something in this content. You're not doing it for SEO. You're doing it to teach people things. We're not 100% hitting that, but we are shipping. We are getting better and better. If you look at our content from 3 years ago to our content right now and what our team's producing, it's so much better. And that's just because we're picking up the chalk. We're doing it again. We're doing it again. We're shipping. And that's really helped. And now we're up to, let's see, I think we're over 2,000 subscribers on YouTube, right? So we're getting leads from YouTube, and it feeds to everything else. That present online, Google picks up on that when a client comes to, the clients right now are a lot more savvy. So they've already done all their research on you before they click on a quote, or I want to, they know all about you. And so when a client comes to us, they find us online. They've already seen that, wow, we have 150 videos last year. We're teaching you about, we've answered all the questions that you might have, and now it's a much easier sale. So our BDMs can close at a higher rate. We don't get as many leads that aren't good fit. So those are just a few facts.
Yeah, to add to that, I think the key that Devin hit on is the commitment. For those that are looking for the playbook, you could look at all the different ways to go out and market your business, but what can you really commit to? Earlier on, we were trying to do everything and throw it all against the wall. We had a YouTube channel for 15 plus years. Well, we've been getting a lot of property management leads for well over 10. And the reason is we weren't committed to it. We had a presence, but we weren't actually trying to be intentional about how we're going to generate leads from this channel. So if you're looking for an idea, it's look at where you can go. What motivates you? What can you commit to? Is it something that you can pick up the phone every single day to go cold call leads, and that's going to motivate you to generate business for your BDM or for yourself? Do you want to be a content creator? And if you don't like getting in front of the camera, don't do that. Find another path. Whatever you do, find a commitment that ultimately you can give yourself the time, because that's the other challenge. Are you going to give yourself enough time to start to see the fruits of your labor? Because it takes energy and course correcting and learning and growing along the way.
And does your average client, is it a lot of onesie twosie, homeowner, investor, accidental landlords? Are there bigger portfolios as well? Like, what's that ICP that ideal customer profile look like for you guys?
Yeah. So one thing about having clarity in who you are and who you serve means that your marketing is much easier because you're not trying to be all things to all people. And that was an aha moment for us because in the beginning, and a lot of people listening might be this, so I'm just trying to get leads. I'm trying to get accounts. So I'll take this one that's out of my geographic location. I'll take this pain in the butt owner. I'll take this duplex that's non-conforming, and pretty soon you've created a monster that's very hard to manage. You don't know how to market because you don't know what your ideal client is. So once we decided to focus and we have a target audience that we're trying to bring our ideal client, that ideal client then translates to what does that ideal client want to hear from us from a marketing perspective? What's going to resonate with that ideal client? And so we've broken it up. Our director of growth could speak to this better, but we have, I believe, 3 avatars, we call them, of what our ideal client are. That would be your accidental. We live in an area that's a lot of tech. So your accidental landlord, that's one of them. We have your sophisticated investor. We also have people that inherit property or, want to move, but come back to the property. And there's a whole profile for each of those. And then we can say, okay, what are those people interested in hearing about? What does their client journey need to look like for them to feel comfortable? For us, it's a lot of trust. They need to trust the company that they're working with. They need someone to really provide them with quality information about how the process is working so that they can feel like, yes, I can give you my, in Seattle right now, the average home is 1.4 million, something like that on the east side anyway. And they could say, here, I'm going to give you this and I'm going to trust that you're going to take care of it. So we speak a lot to that. We answer their questions. We're very transparent. All of our pricing is very transparent. The process, we have a whole onboarding team. So, and that's another thing that's really been beneficial for us is we built an onboarding team because we're trying to be at volume. We are averaging this year about 20 new signed agreements per month. And so they all have to come into the system and everybody needs to have a great experience. Well, at scale, that's difficult. So we built a whole onboarding team that is just that client experience for the first 90 days and making sure we've really nailed that down so that when we ramp that up, it's not just hitting your property managers and they're trying to fit it in to the rest of their day. That's been something that's been pretty beneficial for us as we've tried to really ramp up that scale.
I would add to that to say, stay true to who you are. Devin kind of hit on, who our avatars are. We had to learn the hard way that which when we're looking for business, we brought in institutional investors that said they had their demands. Hey, you have to manage our properties this way. You have to report to us this way. You have to be able to ultimately do things differently than what we're doing for the rest of our portfolio. And yet we were, motivated by the doors that they were dangling in front of us. And we wouldn't touch that these days, right? That's not who we are. We have a machine that we've built. It's got to come in the way that we manage our properties so that we can deliver excellence, a great service to our clients. Because when we make those exceptions, or we're going off the track, off the belt that we built, ultimately that just creates friction and stress, and we can't do what we do best.
Speaking of the marketing and making it easier and tying these together, I had a mentor tell me once that if you hate your clients, you'll probably hate your business. And if you hate your business, you might hate your life. And nobody wants that. So go upstream, find great people to partner with, and it makes life still hard, but at least a lot more fun, a little bit easier. Let's zoom out one more time to the market as a whole, and then we'll land the plane with a few more questions. It's a burden to carry big goals. So I'm sure there's a lot of things that you're worried, concerned about over these next 3 to 5 years. But I would love to hear from each of you. Devin, you can go first. What is one thing that excites you about the property management industry over these next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. When you have big goals, there is a level of uncomfortableness that you live with, which is good. We want to be on the edge of uncomfortable, right? Because that's when you'll do your best work. For me, it's cliched at this point, but I think AI is going to do a lot of really good things for our industry. I believe that will really kind of make us so that we can truly scale where it's less touches, even though we're adding more units. So I think the level of service and responsiveness that we can give our customers is really going to be amazing. I think they're going to get their questions answered in a moment, in real time, and it's going to be curtailed to us. I'm excited about, continuing to build. One of my thing I really love, and when you get to this point, it's a really, truly a great time in a business owner's life is when you continue to build out your exec team. And we've been doing that, placing different executives that bring new talent, new ideas that are smarter than I am, which isn't a high bar, but still it's great. And they can do things better. That I get a lot of enjoy. I mean, that's probably, if I'm looking back in the past few years, that's been the most enjoyable, fulfilling thing, is to bring in really good people who are enthused about your mission. One thing that Derek and I talk about is we want the company's mission to fulfill people's individual goals and what they want out of their career. And if we can align those two things, where I'm working on the company's mission and yet I'm getting something out of it as well. Their mission is my mission because I'm developing and my skills are developing. That's where the sweet spot is. We're not perfect, like I said, but we're working towards that. And so that really is enthusiastic, continuing to build out that exec team, continue to expand our footprint. With growth comes opportunity, and that really gets me going.
I'd say those things excite me absolutely, and I'd maybe go a different direction with just what we're able to do locally and with the communities we serve. As our business is growing, there is so much excitement and passion, not only with Devin and I, but with our team and what we can do in making a difference. Philanthropic efforts and with our foundation that we're building out, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm as excited as for that as what the business is, and bringing the two together day to day is really motivating.
It's awesome. Matt, anything you want to include on that before we start landing the plane?
I was just going to mention finding good people. I was like, Dylan, where do I get one of those Kalmar Group quarter zips you've got going there? I'm kind of bummed
Yeah.
you haven't sent me some of that swag. What's
Well,
up, dude?
I may or may not have some hats for everybody on this call at Broker Owner, so we'll try to make it happen.
Hey, I want a quarter zip and I'll take nothing less, but I'll also take a hat.
All right. Well, now I got 3/4 zips. Thanks, Matt. Well, this is awesome. Really appreciate you guys joining. And this has become one of our favorite questions that we asked on the fly, I think in September, October last year. And now it's become part of the docket. So I'll ask this, and then we got a couple lightning round. And once again, we'll start with Derek this time. Property management is hard. Owning and leading people in property management is even harder. With that being said, how has being in property management changed you as a person?
Well, I would say property management itself is something that is every day you're coming in to solve a problem. It's a new problem, but you're a problem solver. In order to actually be an effective property manager, you need to be able to identify what the issue is and solve it, and then work through the sequencing of what it takes to not only see that through, but work at all the other issues and problems that are coming in front of you. And I'd say for me, that's how I'm wired. I'm a fixer by nature. That's what I like to do. So the industry as a whole ties in with what I'm drawn towards. But just the idea of building a company that serves property managers and ultimately able to serve our clients, that's fulfilling. That is rewarding, to be able to be a builder and to be able to change an industry that has a bad rap for the most part. But to come in and say, well, how can we change that? And what's going to take to ultimately solve into people's problems? Someone's coming to us and saying, this is what the issue is. Could be a tenant, could be a client. How can we do that at a high level where ultimately the experience that is left with the individual saying, wow, that was a great experience overall. That's rewarding for me.
Devin, what about you? How has being in property management changed you as a person?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is when you're in property management, you're constantly dealt with what I used to call problems, right? It's all the time. There's always something good. That's what you're paid to do, is solve problems. So early on, when Derek and I were doing everything, the leasing, the accounting, everything, we just had to be able to solve problems. And it used to have a negative impact on me. This is another problem. And then I realized that's what we get paid for. And I just need to be solution based. And I started making that shift mentally to, it's just something that we need to find a solution for. And I think that's carried on in my life now, being in this business for 15 years, problems in life, problems with all the things that we go through. We just need to get through it. And it's not personal. we're going to find a solution. And that sort of chilled me out a little bit about a lot of things. So I take that, and I've really enjoyed that part of it. That's changed me. And then building the business within property management, and as you build a business, you'll realize most of us come in and we did everything. And then we take a step up and we delegate. And then we take a step up and we delegate. And through each of those steps, you're doing a lot of coaching. You're teaching the people that you brought on what you've learned in your experience, which is a little bit different than most industries. you've really been very hands-on. So there's a lot of coaching and developing of people. And I think it's made me really enjoy that process and become a lot better coach in that. And so that experience of being there and done that, now I'm a little bit removed from many of the day-to-day tasks, a little more sophisticated, but still I understand the major whys and the major levers that you can pull to get through any situation. Basically, most situations rhyme, and I can come in and provide some of that coaching and experience, even though I don't know exactly all the various workflows and how we got here. I can still provide that. And so that's changed me in a positive way.
Love it. Love it. Well, wrapping up here in the lightning round, I guess we'll just kind of keep the same rotation. We'll go Derek, then Devin. Derek, what's a favorite tool or app for your business right now? And it does not have to be a specific PM tool.
Right now, I'm really liking our knowledge base, which is run through SharePoint. So that is our source of truth for how we operate and run the business. And that's something we didn't have over a year ago that we could count on. And we're bringing in AI components to it. We know where the potential is, and even where we are right now, that's a game changer for us. And I think that that's something that we just got to continue to lean into as we build that out even more. That will allow us to bring in more automations as some of this software that we're all used to can grab a hold of and help us in terms of maybe freeing up capacity and bringing in more bots to do some of the work that we need low level.
Love it. Devin, what about you?
Yeah, that's a great one. Adding the AI agents to the back end of our SharePoint, and team can just find information in a moment. It's all in there. That's been awesome. And Derek's really led the charge on that. For me, just a simple one is Strategy has been a great app that we started using lately. And that is an EOS tool. So essentially it allows you to put the format in EOS, all your level 10s, your scorecards, your vision statements, and it is in a format that's very user friendly, but also does all the things that you want to know. Like, are the to-dos getting done? How often is the date being changed? How percentage to rocks? Where are you? Are you are you on track, off track? And we've really been committing to that probably over this last 3-4 weeks, really liking that. It's having a lot more accountability and just general awareness of where everyone stands in all the L10s that we run. And I think we run 4 or 5 of them, and plus the leadership one, or including the leadership one. So that's been a great tool for those that run EOS, and I would recommend.
Awesome. Yeah, that's the first I've heard that one. What about a book or podcast every property management leader should check out?
So we actually have a book club. We've been running this for a little over a year, where every quarter or so, we introduce a book that most of the time Devin and I have read, or someone else brings a book too. And we try to learn from together.
Yeah, the book club has been great. And so we started doing that. We've been doing it in the leadership team for a while. First it was Derek and I, and then we brought it to the leadership team. But just recently we brought 5 dysfunctions of a team to everyone that wanted to participate. And that was really cool. We're all speaking a very similar language with that. And so I've really liked that process. Another one that I've recommended before, and this is more for maybe owners or a leadership team, is No Rules Rules, the Netflix story. I've recommended that to some of our peers and they've really enjoyed it. We've taken a couple of really impactful takeaways from that and used them in our business. And then we use that language within the company. That's been a great one for us.
Love it. Last question here. One word to describe the future of property management.
One word. Opportunity.
Say shifting.
All right. Those are 2 good ones. That's a little teaser for maybe a repeat episode with you guys. So we're going to leave the audience hanging there. Matt,
wanting more, right?
yeah, always.
I think there was just some heavy AI undertones there with both shifting and opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll see. We'll give it 2 or 3 years. We'll see how those AI agents work on top of SharePoint. It seems like that's the direction you guys are going. Very exciting.
Yeah, Matt will find some avatar chat bot for podcast hosting, so I'll be out of a job. Can't wait. Hey, appreciate you guys. Can't wait to see you at Broker Owner. I'll actually be in Seattle in June, so I've already checked to see if there's a Mariners game. There's not, so I'll have to figure out something else fun to do. But really appreciate you guys being great friends and partners in this industry. Thanks so much for coming on, and we got a ton of awesome content. And yeah, you can post it on your own YouTube page too. So hope it generates a few leads for you as well. So really appreciate you guys, and thanks again.
Thanks,
Thanks for having us. It's been great.
Appreciate you having us on.